What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Welcome to Beyond Average Nerds. Now, sit back and enjoy the show.
The craziest thing is I did not think that we were ever going to do this again, or there was a potential that we never possibly made another podcast for at least 2022. And here we are, only a couple months in, and we're already back.
You know what I'll say is that I don't know if it was the last show that we did or one of the last shows that we did. I specifically said that we had about 8 months worth of content, and it's been about 8 months. So
I was about to say, yeah,
There we go.
It has been about 8 months, and we are back. But we are back with a vengeance in a format that I have recently taken on for our older, our past listeners. I've recently taken on a new project called EFNcool, and I said we've ramped this up and got this going a little bit. And I was like, hey, light bulb. Why don't we do a once a month show for EFNcool? So reached out to you guys, and here we are.
Yeah.
Recording.
We hang out like all the time and play Fortnite and stuff anyway. So
exactly. I mean, why don't it's basically just our life conversations, just hitting record, and putting it on the internet. So
it's true. It was a lot more fun before we started hitting record. I really wish you would have hit it sooner, but it's okay.
Yeah, true. That's all.
I'll forgive you for not hitting my button sooner.
That's okay. Just talking about Weston and his gold chain and mustache. Weston has a mustache now, in case anybody didn't know.
And a gold chain.
And a gold chain.
And a gold watch.
And a gold watch.
And gold sunglasses.
He's very ethnic.
This is like Frieza when he got destroyed and then he came back as gold.
True.
Frieza.
Yes.
You mean this guy?
His torso is so long.
The guy from my socks.
You can't see this right now, but he is wearing a Dragon Ball Z t-shirt and Frieza's at the very bottom. But his torso is very long, so he had to stand all the way up for us to be able to see.
Dude, my torso is long. Like I'm not a short guy, but if you take my inseam, it's like a 30. So I'm all torso.
Yeah.
You know
why do you think we call you the silverback gorilla?
True. Yeah. I was watching a nature show recently and I just saw myself. I had an out of body experience. He was just chilling, making jokes with the clan, just like hitting on the ladies, and all of a sudden another gorilla comes in and he kills him. It was awesome.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
He's a silverback gorilla because he's like really buff and has a long torso. Because I also have a long torso, but I'm not buff, so am I just like an emaciated silverback gorilla?
No, I think you're like an orangutan or something.
Orangutan? I'll take that.
Another family member, but not necessarily the one that wants to murder everyone.
Yeah. Well, I do want to murder everyone. So.
Okay, you can be a silverback gorilla. Welcome to the family.
what with the shouting at children at the movie theaters and all?
This is a story you need to tell. So me and Aaron had a mandate the other night to go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and we made the mistake of going on a Friday night. In a small
7:30.
It's 7:30.
Yeah.
In a small town where this is literally all you have to do. Have to do on a Friday night. Like everybody's there. So it's funny because when we come in, they've opened one theater for the adults and then one theater for the kids, and then when the kids theater fills up, they overflow into the adult theater. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of funny. I definitely felt like a dad going to the movies because we're getting our popcorn and stuff. And I kind of know the guy at the counters because we see him all the time. And he's like, before we left the counter, he's like, hey, dude, just if they're in there, making noise, just tell us and we'll come remove them. I'm like, dude, I feel like such a dad right now. I think the last time me and Aaron just went to a movie by ourselves, it was when we were teenagers. We were those teenagers back then.
Probably, yeah. Well, though we were actually 19. We weren't awful.
We weren't those teenagers.
Definitely been a while.
Dude,
so
this is a new thing amongst teenagers. Is them being so because whenever all of us were teenagers and we go to movies, number one, we're not that kind of a-hole. So that's, because we're just here to watch the movie like a normal person. But there was every 10, maybe 120 movies, there would be disruptive kids in the movie theater and they'd have someone would have to yell at them.
Yeah.
The last 10 times I've been in the movie theaters, at least 4 to 5 times, 50% of the time, there's someone in there that I've had to tell off, or I'd have to go and I normally just go and get the person and I say, hey, could you please just tell them to like get up and move? Or someone else, the other dads in the theater, start like cursing these people out, and then they just leave, and I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But listen,
that may have been.
I was happy he did it, because how dare they laugh and talk during a movie, especially you know what movie it was the last time for me? Quiet Place 2. Talking and laughing and yelling during Quiet Place 2. The one movie where you need to be like, no, not even popcorn crunching. Just sit here. So I feel like it's like it's either like a disrespect of younger kids just being stupid, even more stupid, or people like maybe the kids' attention spans just don't have enough like for movies, something. But it's been way worse. And even where I live, like there's plenty of stuff to do. People can do anything.
Yeah. And I think the worst part was that like there was people in the theater like shushing.
Yeah.
And like you hear all of these shushes everywhere, but nobody's actually doing anything.
Right.
And I literally just stood up and turned around. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was like, y'all, we're in a movie theater.
This is very tame, by the way. Yeah.
I'm not going to shout into my microphone.
He put the dad voice on, and everybody in that room could hear it, and all the adults in the room were just clapping. And it was funny because you had to do it twice. So you stood up and like said that, and then it got quiet. Like,
yes,
you heard some snickering from like the people in the room. But it's funny because like it was a crowded theater, but it wasn't a full theater. Me and Aaron had our own row.
No.
Like it wasn't like there was
150, 200 people there. I would think.
Not even. No, I don't even think the capacity can fit that much in those theaters. But it like the teenagers just were grouped up in this and that. But it was pretty funny because
the second time I actually got out of my seat, went up to them in like 4 rows back, and I was like, if y'all want to have a conversation, get out of the theater.
Yeah.
And they were like, yes, sir. And
I know. They were
just went and sat back down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then they got thrown out.
Yeah, they did end up getting thrown out.
Oh, did you just go tell them and then they just got kicked out?
No, I didn't say anything to anybody. I was handling it myself.
I had got up to go to the bathroom and I was going to say something, but there was another woman that came out and said something to the theater people, and they're like, "Oh, snap!" And so they got up and they're like, they were ready.
Like, hey, before this guy murders these children, could you go handle this, please?
When I came back to the movie theater after getting like a refill, I looked at the dude who like I kind of knew. I was like, I don't know, man. And he was just like, don't worry, we got him. And they literally removed him and threw him out. It was awesome. So shouts to our local movie theater for throwing the freaking annoying teenagers out when we're trying to watch a movie.
And shouts to our local movie theater for giving free refills on popcorn and soda as long as you get a large. That's kind of dope. I don't know if all theaters do that, but that was kind of cool.
I think most do these days.
I think that's a thing.
Shout out anyways. I don't care.
It's still nice. I mean, I can't have a large popcorn and 2 large drinks, or else I would be peeing the entire movie theater. But I appreciate the sentiment.
I was sure holding it in by the end.
I just get up and go because I'm like, got to do it. But also, I had kind of a fail safe on this one because I was seeing it the next morning with my wife again. So we went to this really nice megaplex movie theater where at like 10 a.m. and there were like 12 people there probably. There. Yeah.
Was it IMAX?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like the IMAX with the booming audio and all that stuff. It was it was epic. It was definitely a different experience from seeing it at my local movie theater. Because I mean, there's so much to that movie, and I missed some key points. I think, like in seeing it again, I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense to me now and stuff too. So it was. I'm gonna wait before, like, I'm not gonna spoil the movie at all, but I do want to, like, next time we do a pod, get Weston's take on this because it's interesting. It's a fun one. It's different for sure. So
completely different. Well, not completely different, but very different.
It's a departure from the normal formula. We'll say that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Quick question before we get into more of that. What drink did you have, and what is your favorite soda to go to a movie theater?
Just Coke.
Coke.
Yeah.
Standard.
Yeah, standard.
Aaron?
Yeah, I also had a Coke, actually.
Okay. Yeah. You have approved the test. If you said Mountain Dew, I would have to stab you both.
No,
I can't do the Mountain Dew.
That's insane.
No.
I actually really prefer Dr. Pepper, but it has too much sugar in it, and it just makes me a little queasy nowadays. I'm getting older. Can't drink DP anymore.
Oh, you gotta get the Pib, dude, because it's spicy.
They don't have that.
Yeah, we don't have Pib up here.
I
do like Dr. Pepper too.
This is Texas, man. We don't have those Pepsi products. Get out of here.
It's honestly probably not even. It's like such a homegrown movie theater. It's probably not. It's probably just generic Coke. Honestly, is what they're putting into the machines. It's like great value, Dr. Soda or whatever.
what the one we used to drink as when I came to your house, Mason, was Dr. Thunder. Your mom always bought it.
Yes.
I'm like,
Sam's Club.
Yeah, can I get like we'd ask your mom, can you get us a soda when you go to the store? She's like, yeah, we'll do. And then she comes home with Dr. Thunder. I'm like,
grew up poor, okay?
It's 50 cents more, dude. Just give me Dr. Pepper.
We were poor, Weston. Jesus,
yeah.
I don't believe it.
50 cents was a box of pasta. All right,
pasta, dude.
Box of pasta,
dude. I every time I just knew I was like, I gotta get the soda before I come over to Mason.
You would bring like a bottle of soda, like
here.
I would have loved it if Mason just like had like 3 bottles and just took the labels off of all of them and be like, decide.
Yeah,
you can't.
That'd be cool. So if you had to just give a snap reaction to Doctor Strange, numero dos, did you like it better than the first one? Where does it rate in like your top? Is it in the top 10 of like Marvel movies? Is it just like in its own category? What would you guys say without giving away anything to me?
Yes to all 3.
Snap reaction is shit. I've seen it twice. Like I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to come up with a snap reaction. Just
you should be even more educated though. So just like what? Like is it in the top 10 or no?
Top 10? No. Not top 10, no.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Not for me, no. I love
Was it better
Sam
than
Raimi.
the first one or the second one?
It was a different movie. Like I can't even categorize it like that. What do you say to that, Aaron?
Yeah, well, first of all, there's only like 15 movies, so top 10 is a really interesting estimator. But
I think with shows,
if there's only 15 movies, then okay, top 10.
I think shows and movies, there's a lot more than that, or at least 20, 25, something like that.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, so first of all, for me, Mason had like all the spoilers going in too. So like I literally did not know anything. I didn't even know the plot. I don't even think I saw the trailer, to be honest. I knew nothing at all about this going in, other than I think Mason said like you should just watch What If, right? So like I was blind and I went in, I loved it. It was definitely top 10. Honestly, maybe top 5 for me.
Really?
And it was by far better than the first one.
Oh, that's good.
But it's also like way different. So like, and this is really not a big spoiler thing, I don't think, but like a lot of people like complained about New Mutants. This is kind of was my comparison in a good way, but like a lot of people complained about New Mutants because it couldn't find its balance between like trying to be like sort of a horror movie and sort of like a Goonies style thing, kind of like It, right? Like It found its balance really well. The new one, right? It was kind of like Goonies and also a little bit scary. And I felt like Doctor Strange, the new one, kind of had that balance where there was some really intense moments and they made it just so much more interesting. And so and very few jokes. It wasn't like, Guardians of the Galaxy laugh track, in the audience the whole time kind of thing. Right.
True.
It was a lot more serious in many different ways, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
that was a really good analogy. I know exactly what you're saying after that.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the middle here. I didn't hate it. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, this shouldn't be something to be remembered in this universe. It should just be X'd out. I love Sam Raimi. I love the way he put together the Spider-Man movies. Like, I'm not big into his other horror work, but I do like the print of that he left on this movie, which is cool. And it wasn't on my bingo card for sure for this movie, because like even I knew all the spoilers and I knew everything that was going to happen, but I didn't know to what degree and how it was going to go. So I do like the departure and the differentness of it, but I don't know. It just felt like, to me personally, it felt like there's a lot cut out. There was a lot cut out of the movie, and I'll leave it at that because I don't want to get too spoilery. and I want Weston to see it, and then we can really hash this out.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It does move along at a clip. Like it's just I mean, yes, it is definitely the thing, and something that I appreciate about it is that, you know, with all of the TV shows we have and everything nowadays, like all the Marvel TV shows, like they basically allow the TV shows to be the setup and then the movies to just be the action. And it's just like from 0 to or like the 0 minute mark to the 2 hour mark, just clips straight along perfectly. There's no real lulls or anything, and it just goes.
Yeah.
And I did really like that. And obviously, you know, Mason, I think, you know, you sound like it kind of, you know, it was a little bit too much, but for myself, I really liked that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I one thing I did appreciate about it was the first movie that had ramifications from one of the first kind of movie in this universe that had ramifications from the TV show. So from WandaVision, like it's literally just a direct sequel to that, you know, exactly sequel. And then brought in aspects of What If as well, which was really neat to me. So if you want a watch list beforehand, I'm sure they're out there on the internet, but definitely WandaVision, and then like episode 1, 3, and like the last 2 of What If before seeing this movie. And then you'll be like, everything in this movie makes sense to me. So I know my wife at points got kind of lost and was like, wait, what? You know, like, so anyway.
It's bonkers.
Yeah. Moving on from that, something we will put, madness. Yeah, exactly. I just kind of want to move on from that, not because I don't want to talk about it more, but I don't want to say too much.
Yeah.
Right? I just don't want to ruin it for you, because I really do want your opinion on this, since me and Aaron kind of are very split on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm usually the guy that's like, I freaking loved that. That was wonderful. And you guys are like, F that crap. I hate it. You know,
I'm surprised you aren't more excited about it, because I thought you really liked it. I mean, I know you liked it, but I'm surprised you didn't like it more than you seem to.
I didn't hate it. It wasn't like, you know, I can't relate it to anything in this universe.
Was it too weird for you? Like,
it wasn't
odd?
weird. It wasn't too weird for me. It was just, I think the way it was just kind of put together,
it was just
funny to me. Like,
I think we're going down the like Eternals hole again a little bit, because like I really liked Eternals. I think it was underrated in my opinion.
Ooh,
and like, obviously it's not the most amazing. We talked about this, you know, it's not the most amazing movie. I thought the girl that played Sprite was a god awful actress. You know, I thought some of the acting in general left a lot to be desired. Just to say
it was like a DC movie worth of acting. Like you said it, like when we were talking, it like for some reason DC movies have like the acting is not as good as like the Marvels. It's less believable and more comic book, like old school comic book movies where it's just like huzzah, you know?
Well, it's because it's so like intense, but they're still kind of saying cheesy things.
Exactly.
That it's just like, I don't know. And then so then it starts to feel like it forced or overacted a little bit in certain points, right? Like having a really serious conversation about a giant purple alien is just challenging, right? So like that's the kind of situation we're looking at here with Eternals. But at the same time, like the setup and the character growth and everything, like I really liked the way it was delivered. I think more so than everything I had heard about it, at least. I mean, you know, people were just dumping all over it. And I liked it. I mean, it wasn't my favorite thing, but I solid 7 out of 10 for me, in my opinion. I thought it was really good. If you can get past, some of the scenes with really crummy acting.
Yeah. I think that's what, like, just going to Eternals, to your point, is like the monsters, like the CGI in that movie was so good.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
But some of the acting was so bad. Like it was not, I mean, and then too, like, it verged, like you were saying, it verged on like these like really intense epic moments, but then it had like weird, like haha moments inside when it shouldn't have been there. And then also there was, I mean, I did like a lot of the characters in there, but there was a couple that were just non-relatable and not interesting at all. And them spending any amount of time on those characters, or as much as they did, it was strange.
Yeah. I think I was asking myself in Eternals, like, why do I need this? Like, that was my biggest question. It was a very diverse group of people, which was cool. I love the lead actress. I thought she was great. And, Cersei, the girl who plays Cersei, and the Winter Soldier lookalike.
Yes,
he just looks
I like that we had both Jon and Rob Snow.
I was about to say, I was like, you mean the Snow Brothers?
Yeah, I don't watch that show either, so I wouldn't know. But
know what show we're talking
but you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, is that Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So.
Yeah. They both played in that show together, and they were brothers, and then they're in this show as well.
Yeah.
So that's all it really was. There's nothing else.
Spoiler alert: they're not brothers in Eternals, but
yeah. Spoiler alert: they don't like each other.
I mean, the guy who played the Joker in the new Batman movie was in Eternals.
Yeah.
And I think his deleted scene was better than his whole part in that entire movie.
Oh, really? Yeah.
His deleted scene in Batman was better than his whole part in that entire movie.
The funny thing is,
I didn't dislike his character.
He was the most. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't dislike his character at all. I liked him in Eternals. He was one of the likable ones to me.
No, I didn't dislike it. I was
just relatable character in the movie to me, because I'm like, if I had the power to like tell everybody on planet Earth to stop fighting, I would do that. Yeah, like of course.
I didn't dislike his character, and his acting was really good. I was just the whole time I was like, why do I need any of this? Like to this universe? And maybe it's something cosmic crazy they're building towards, which would be cool.
Well, but it is. That's the best thing about it is like halfway through the movie you realize, oh, this is why we're watching this right now, is because it does go into like the multiverse, and it goes into who's the leaders that had the Infinity Stones originally. That's who that Cersei was talking to the entire time. The Celestials.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So like bringing them into the universe and making them real, and obviously they're still around, is pretty cool, because at some point, like in Infinity War, you think that these beings created the Infinity Stones, wreaked havoc, and then just were gone. Like they either got defeated or they died.
Yeah.
But they're obviously not, which is kind of cool, because at some point, like they will get. I mean, to me, the Eternals was all about the Celestials. Really, it had nothing to really. I mean, it brought in other superheroes that they could use in other movies, but really, to me, it was about this, like the setup for the Celestials being in the other movies down the road, which I did like. Like I liked that there was a backstory, and they just didn't show up randomly.
And then the bridge to the Blade movie in the movie.
True.
It was like, I knew that character's name when I was watching. I was like, oh, isn't that the guy who's the Black Knight? And then I was like, at the end of the movie, I was expecting something completely different for the closing credits scene, and then it was like, "Are you sure you want to do that, Mr. Women?" Like it was like that was so good, but also super random to me. Like, this is how we're bringing Blade in. Like, okay.
I'll tell you though, I was really, because I thought actually like Black Knight was like in the movie as Black Knight, and so I was like fully waiting for something to happen, and then he just didn't. He was never there, and I was like, man, that was really, really disappointing. But I still enjoyed it. I really thought it was funny that when Icarus and Cersei go to visit, I can't remember his name, but that the black superhero, the technology guy. I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, I can't remember.
You don't remember? That's fine. But when they go to see him and like they meet his son, and the son's like, "Oh, aren't you Superman? I saw you with the laser eyes flying around."
Yeah, I know, it's funny. I love how he literally was Superman.
Yeah, he
was the exact same character.
Yeah,
he could fly, laser eyes. Like he was literally the same character.
Yeah,
super strong,
literally Superman. And I was just like, I'm wondering, like, are they basically saying that Superman is a person in the same universe? Like, is that a thing, or is it just like a comic book character that that the kids saw kind of thing? I was kind of curious about that, because I'm like,
how did they even say that without getting like DMCA'd?
Parody law.
Oh,
I would suspect.
Yeah,
I would just assume that it's parody. I mean, I
kind of like it because it's a little bit of like a haha. We have all these successful movies and we make fun of Superman.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Marvel's kind of like sticking it to DC, giving like, the redheaded stepchild, like Superman, haha.
But you know what though? Give me Henry Cavill any day of the week.
We have a Superman, and guess what? We're gonna have him burn himself in the sun. because we hate him so much.
Yeah, guess he's not Superman after all. Actually, you know what? He's going to fly into the sun and he's going to stay there for 10,000 years and then come back and give everybody else superpowers. Hashtag Icarus for life.
I really do like how they made his name Icarus, but then they killed him in the sun. Like it was, you know, even though because obviously there's mythology about like Icarus, but it was actually him. Like that's in the timeline. It was really supposed to be about him.
Right.
Pretty dope.
I think it's funny that they call Athena too, and she's like, no, it's just Athena. There's no A. That's great.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this, like, so, especially Aaron, since we both saw Doctor Strange, what's the star rating you would give Doctor Strange out of 10, and then Eternals out of 10?
Well, I said Eternals 7 out of 10.
Okay.
The new Doctor Strange, man. That's hard. I would honestly like a 9 or a 10. Like it was really, I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. It was really good.
I'm like 7 for Doctor Strange because it wasn't a bad movie. It was just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like without.
Well, and I'm in like category. So like, you know, there's probably like film critics out there that'll be like, Marvel movies are garbage and they're not real. They're just popcorn flicks and they're not real cinema. And I like, you know, I categorize things separately, right? Because there's like superhero movies and then there's like, you know, watching like Goodfellas and stuff like that. Right. Like these are two separate 10 out of 10.
And then there's Batman who does both of those things.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's two different 10 out of 10 situations here. Like these are completely, you know, apples and oranges type situations when it comes to that type of thing. But like for a good popcorn flick with a great story and a lot of fun and just crazy stuff happening, 10 out of 10. Like absolutely great. Yeah. I would watch it again.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see it now because like I love when like our crew is divided on something, and there's I love it so much because even though you said 7, Mason, it really sounds like it's a little bit below that for you because 7 is like extremely good, but just
it's
not
a
good
weak
enough.
7 for me. I think we're getting to the bottom of it. It's all about placement of everything.
Yeah,
like
arrangement.
You didn't like the flow.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a different song. Song, and the arrangement wasn't my favorite. So I think honestly, what could have done this more justice was a part 1 and a part 2, and then make it even bigger. You know,
you thought it was rushed.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was rushed, but it just felt like a lot was cut out of the film.
I think if they made it a half hour longer, you would be happy.
I think so. Yeah, true.
I really do. Yeah. I think if they just stretched it out just a little bit further, I think you would have enjoyed it more.
I will say I love Elizabeth Olsen. Like she is given it her all in this movie, and I dig that. And there's certain moments that are just like awesome and creepy in the movie, which I love.
That's true.
So yeah. And then Eternals for me was 5 out of 10. Like it was like a 5, like a middling movie that I was just like, interesting, you know. So
fair enough. So speaking of, that brings us to our 9th point, right? Where, you know, Mason's talking about pacing. That is the exact problem that I had with Moon Knight. And Weston just finished Moon Knight today, so let's talk about that. That was absolutely why Moon Knight is like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 for me. I felt like the pace for all 6 episodes was way all over the map. The last 2 episodes were pretty great, in my opinion, but the whole thing, just like episode 5 should have been episode 2 or 3, and then things should have happened. And I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'll let Weston talk first, since he has kind of been on the outside of the last 2 things we talked about, but sure, because you've seen this. So go ahead, Wes.
Okay. So I completely agree. Without I have nothing to probably say against what Aaron was saying. To me, is the first couple episodes I didn't dislike them, but then like you get the last 2 or 3, and you're like, oh, it's like this. When I just watched the Moon Knight, like the first 4 episodes or so, I was like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. It's all right. You know, it's like probably middle of the road, maybe a little bit below average even of the middle. But I didn't dislike it. It wasn't unlikable because the acting was really good.
Yes.
Let me phrase that. the main character, Oscar Isaac, was phenomenal. I loved him. So the acting was good, and even the girl, I love Khonshu, the Avatar. I thought he was cool. I liked everything. I did not like the bad guy, and that really made it hard for me because, and it was so slow, and even because it was like when it was so slow in the first 4 episodes, and it had a lot to do with the bad. I don't even remember his name because he's so unmemorable. The bad guy and Mark and Steven's character. Is you're kind of like, what's really happening? Like you get what's happening, but it's so slow. And then even when it wraps up in the end, the best part about, to me, the best episode is the second from the last one, when basically you figure out like Mark and Steven are trying to balance. I don't want to spoil it. Let me phrase this. So they're basically, the second last.
There's no spoilers, man.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and spoil this one. Like, well, I'll put it right here. Skip ahead 15 minutes if you don't want to be spoiled. We're gonna spoil it right here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Mark and Steven trying to figure out who was first, and then also why one of because he has split personalities, or he has dissociative personalities where he has multiple, and it's only 2 with him. And why, like, which one was created was so touching and so sad. And it also is so cool because, like, for them to have to go through this journey and potentially end up back, to be able to save the day, or go and just go to the underworld and just be dead. That episode was like a 10 out of 10 episode. And the last one was very good as well. I enjoyed it. But the first 4 almost didn't, like Aaron was saying, they almost didn't even need to be there. And it was super disappointing that they could have even started everything in the first episode. They could have done in 1 episode, and then just like drawn out the battle sequences and the hype of it, or even more so like being like trying to get back. Like that could have been fine, but they just they drug out the first 4 episodes. The bad guy was completely unlikable and unrelatable. He wasn't scary at all. Like he's supposed to be this, basically the servant of Amit, the god of, of sinners, and just, trying to balance the scales, and we're going to kill these guys off. And he just was such a, he was horrible.
I think the one thing they did is they depicted cult leaders very well. Like,
that's true.
Literally
That's true,
a nothing
actually.
Dude trying to get these people to follow him. In this situation, he had magic powers, so whatever. Yeah. But I feel 100% the same way about that. I'm glad we're all on the same page with this, because I didn't even know the bad guy's name. I can't remember it right now.
I can't remember it right now.
Like,
so it was unmemorable.
It's Arthur Harrow.
Oh, Harrow,
Harrow. Yeah. So by the 6th episode, I was like, Harrow. But like the first 4 episodes, I didn't even know. And like you said, episode 5 was definitely my favorite, because I think it sheds a really good light on mental health, and how, we've seen movies like Split, and how, how crazy these people are depicted in media, people who have split personalities. And really, I mean, like, a lot can go wrong in that situation, but people live with this type of disorder all the time. So like, I think it depicted that, and it also showed a good light of why these things develop as well, because I created you to hide so I wouldn't have to see what she did to me.
Yeah, it was a traumatic experience that he needed someone else, or to create another persona to help, because he was serious. He was a killer. His, obviously the trauma that his mom instilled in him, his brother dying. So he had to have Steven there to be this like fun, weird, nobody from England, to be able to just get him through the time. And like, especially at the end of episode 5, or maybe episode 5, is where you figure out, like, this is where our reality started morphing, was when he had to go to his mother's funeral. And he obviously, he just wanted to, he never really even hated her, but he just couldn't deal with it because she abused the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I loved that. Like that episode was 10 out of 10 for sure.
Dude, I was like, I was crying after that episode. That just hits home in a lot of ways. I don't have those mental things, but it hits home in a lot of ways. So I was like, wow, that was touching. And the way they depicted it was done very well. And then also, like, I love the 6th episode with him switching back and forth, and they became a teamwork together and doing what they had to do. And just like him talking and then switching and then switching. Oh, let me take this one. Boom, boom, boom. And then we find out about another person out, like that the whole blackout happens and he's got him in his arm. I thought that was a cool, they didn't depart from that, what happened in the 1st episode. It was like, oh no, it's happening to both of them now,
right,
which was cool. So
no, I agree with that. No, go ahead.
I think me and Aaron kind of had this, or I had this discussion with myself on his text thread earlier, but I was thinking about, like, there's been so many shows that we really haven't talked with each other about since we last potted, but I was thinking about Hawkeye. I loved that show. I was hanging on to every episode. It was so good. I love Haley Steinfeld. I think she's a great actor. I think she was great in that role. and so, I just think that was a really good show. But what else did this show do? You had Clint Barton in the show. You had Yelena from, the new Black Widow sister, Natasha's sister. If you haven't seen that, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we're past the point. And then you brought back Kingpin, and then you introduced Echo, which is very entrenched in that story as well. So there was a lot of what I love about the MCU in that show, which made me want to keep watching it, and loved every single episode and every single moment, and the funny parts and the all this. That's something Moon Knight did not have for me, that I was really wanting and hoping for. Like, there had been rumors about Punisher showing up, in like a cameo, just like a quick cameo, John Bernthal's Punisher, like, because they're clearly building something towards this Marvel Knights with Blade. There's been talk about Punisher coming back. Daredevil's been rumored a part of that, or has been in different comics to be a part of that whole thing. So, like, why not tease something like that that's outside of this realm? And I don't know, maybe you might disagree with me that it was cool that it was something like this, but that's what I love about the MCU, is all of the different things and the cameos and people they can bring in that they really just didn't do with this show. And they submitted it to the Emmys as a limited series, so meaning it's one and done. So they're not making another season of this show to expand on it. So clearly they're heading in a direction with this character for something, but they didn't lay the groundwork to that at all for me. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
No, I'm 100% there with you. So, like, everything you guys have said, I really agree with. I mean, I think the only thing that I would say is, like, Arthur, as far as the bad guy is concerned, I didn't necessarily dislike him as a bad guy, because I don't really feel like he was a bad guy. Like, I kind of felt like he was meant to be in some ways relatable. Like, in this story, I don't really feel like there's any good guys or bad guys, right? Because like you have, like, Mark killed Layla's dad. It was an accident, or he didn't kill him, but he was, like, indirectly involved in his death, right? Like, he's murdered, like, a ton of people. Arthur is, like, trying to do it's basically like a story of people trying to do what they think is right and having two different points of view, really, more than anything. It actually reminds me of, like, Final Fantasy Endwalker a lot. But all that said, like, it's just two different points of view, essentially, that's guiding the situation. And I think really the only quote unquote, like, good person was probably Layla at the end of the day, because she's the only person that, like, wasn't just murdering random people. But that aside, like, I felt like, like Weston said, like, the acting, in my opinion, across the board was fantastic, and it really, I thought that carried the show. In general, I know, Wes, you said you didn't really like, the bad guy and his acting. I don't know if you thought, like,
I don't know. It wasn't his acting.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't his acting. I just didn't like. I think I didn't like the character, because even if he would have, like, because, like, for instance, to your point, Mason, about cult leaders, is he was this persona of I've just been so wronged all the time, and can't you hurt me, and now I'm gonna do this,
Did Ethan Hawke just come in the room? Like, what happened?
It's just like, but normally, like, when you have someone like that, they're like that in front of their disciples, right? They're this, like, super chill, like, we're just gonna do it, boys, And then, like, at some point, you could see he's just like I wanted him at least at some point to be like, I'm freaking mad because I hate Khonshu and I just want to kill Khonshu. Right? Yeah. Like I don't like the gods. I don't like Khonshu, and I'm doing this because I hate them, and they hurt me so bad, and I'm just vengeful. Because if he would have just gone off and been like, I freaking hate you, and just lost it at one point, I would have at least, the character would have been understandable. But even till the very end, he's just like, you can't kill me. I'm Armut's disciple. Like he never even like, and he, in reality, that's all he was vengeful. He hated Khonshu because Khonshu used him just like he used Mark in general, right? And instead of just being like, yeah, I'm vengeful, and I just getting upset at like, someone poking fun at him or something, being like a crazy person, he just maintained the same persona up to the very end. And it wasn't even like he was a bad actor. It just was an uninteresting, like, bad character, or just character in general. Because you're right, he wasn't necessarily a bad guy. He just was a guy who was out to get revenge, like in reality. Yeah.
And you think about, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, you do make an interesting point though, because he's vengeful, but he's not like unhinged about it, basically. No. And he is very juxtaposed in that way. So I do kind of understand where you're coming from as far as that goes. Yeah.
I just wanted him to freak out or like get emotional at some point, or just be like, I want emotion. I want all the world to all the bad people to burn, even though I'm bad. Like, he had this weird ideology, and for sure he didn't believe his own bullcrap. That's the thing that was so weird to me.
I felt weird about the chemistry there too, between who's the main actor? What's his name? I'm sorry. Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac,
and Ethan Hawke. I didn't feel like they had the chemistry like Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio have as Kingpin and Daredevil. I mean, the end. I've just recently watched Daredevil, so we interlace Moon Knight with Daredevil, so it was kind of a lot of contrast for me there, and just watching Daredevil in that vein of what they are trying to do in the MCU here with this Moon Knight show of this mercenary who takes it out and there was so much contrast there, because D'Onofrio and Cox, you felt like they hated each other, and you felt the chemistry between them. They hated each other, but they need each other, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's not how it felt here. And it's not exactly that dynamic between these two characters, but still, like, as far as the whole Egyptian god thing being bonded and all that kind of stuff, like they were the avatars, so they did have a rivalry against each other, and I just felt like there could have been a little more chemistry there.
No, I agree, because it's like there's almost basically zero animosity between them at any point. The only times they're fighting are in the very first time they meet each other and the very last time they see each other.
Yeah.
That's it. Like every other time they get together, they're like trying to reason with each other, trying to talk things out. And that's lame. Like you solve things through violence. You don't solve things through talking to each other. That's ridiculous.
Not so,
I jest, but really, it doesn't make for a compelling, like, superhero villain situation. Like there's nothing there.
Also, one other thing is the council of the other gods and their avatars were terrible. Like,
that was the most pointless thing.
It was pointless to even bring them in. They're just like, yeah, we don't believe you. And then as soon as Armut shows back up, they're just like, we're helpless. Help.
Yeah. Quick, underrated, overrated. Layla, the Egyptian sexy lady Falcon. Underrated, overrated.
Underrated, 100. She was the best character in that show, personally.
I mean, I got to give it to you. Definitely underrated.
Okay, calm down. Oh, man.
Away. Just stealing the show as Lady Falcon, Egyptian goddess, lover.
That's a fact.
If they're building the, like, and I'm glad they brought Jake Lockley in at the end, like this second or the third personality to Mark and Steven and all that. I think that's cool. But what I really wanted to see, and what I kind of expected to see, was some kind of build towards the future if they are doing this Marvel Knights thing, in Punisher showing up and blowing his head off. Honestly, like if they're going to have somebody in that spot that's like, I've been watching this whole thing, because that's what Punisher does. He doesn't directly involve himself or work with other people necessarily.
He has to.
But then he would show up in that moment and blow his head off and be like, he won't kill you, but I will. Yeah. And then it can launch into something bigger for the universe in Moon Knight will mean more, because he is sort of that Punisher character. He is the mercenary who's not afraid to do work and doesn't pull his punches and, you know, those type of things. And then especially Jake Lockley, you know, like they could have introduced that somehow too, like in the same vein, because Jake Lockley is literally a murderer. You know, that's how he was the murdering personality in the comics. Like he was like the OG Moon Knight. So I was like, where is that person, you know, like in this? And so I'm glad they did bring that in, but I wanted them to build up to what they're doing next, because like other than that, like Aaron, we were talking about earlier, you just said all of this was kind of just forgettable to me.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought
and
it
if
was
they don't
pretty forgettable, honestly. Yeah.
If they do something, if they don't do something in the near future with him, I'm going to be like, I don't know. What was that show again? You know, honestly, like in 2 years, I'll be like, oh yeah, that Moon Knight show, you know?
Yeah, that's not a show that I would rewatch. And also, like, you know, kind of thinking about like when you said like have Punisher blow up and show up and blow his head off, like it made me think like they kind of sold this not as like an adult show, like to the point of like
Daredevil.
Like Daredevil or Deadpool or something like that. But they sold it as like this is an adult show. Like, oh, you like kids can't watch this. And I'm like, this was more tame than Doctor Strange 2, in my opinion.
True. Yeah.
Like
100%.
I really feel that in my heart. And I'm like, they kind of like sold this character who is very violent and very aggressive and very like cerebral in a way that they did not deliver on at all.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And like, you know, when I take comparative notes to other characters in comic books that have multiple personality disorder, people like Legion, amazing show, amazing character. They did a phenomenal job with that show. It wasn't an adult show really, but like, you know, they leaned into the source material so well and did a phenomenal job, and, you know, changed a lot for the show, but did a really great job. Same thing with oh God, if I could remember her name, but from Doom Patrol, I can't remember the girl's name now off the top of my head. Crazy Jane. You know, she is an absolute amazing character, you know, with multiple personality. I feel like they do a really great job of setting up, you know, the kind of mental health side of things, as it were, like kind of what you mentioned earlier, Mason, you know, about like, you know, leaning into the backstory of it and everything, and, you know, why she is the way she is, because Legion's really just like, that is literally his superpower, is he has multiple personalities, whereas, you know, these two is a completely different scenario. They are just fractured humans. But like, I feel like even on Doom Patrol, they did such a better job with Jane than they did with, and she's one of a cast, as opposed to Oscar Isaac in this show. Like, there, you know, you have like hints of it in the first episode where he blacks out. You have, you know, obviously he's talking to himself the entire time, but like they don't really get into any of it until episode 5, and it's 6 episodes, and it's just like, guys, what are you waiting for? Like, that was my whole thing. And it's like, you have these episodes like episode 2 where they're like all over the place, and then episode 3, I think it was episode 3 or maybe episode 4, where like they're just in a tomb the entire episode. I think it was episode 4. They're just in the tomb an entire episode.
It was 4.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing right now? Is this a bottleneck episode? Did y'all run out of money? I don't understand. And it just blew my mind that they spent that much time on one location.
Well, think about this too. In episode 4, there was this massive scene with the dead hunter that was protecting the tomb.
Yeah.
And they get away from him. Like, and that was it. Like, it was nothing. Like, so they basically spent half the episode with this like scene where he's, you know, the dude's spider walking around and going crazy, and then Harold shows up and she's like, oh, guess I gotta go to the tomb now. Don't worry about this blood eating like flesh demon. Like, no worries.
Harold's like, hey, I'm gonna mislead you, like cult leaders do. And they have that whole scene where, you know what really happened to your father, and it's like, well, no, because we haven't seen that. Like, we don't have any relation to any of that. Like, they didn't. They could have done a cold open to the first episode of what happened in that moment, and then we're like building to what we're seeing. I think the one thing they did really well on, though, was the suit. I love the suit.
Agreed.
I like this suit too. Yeah.
I saw that Fortnite skin, and I was like, bought.
I really want to see Jake's version of the suit, the like when he becomes, you know,
I
like
do
basically
too,
like
yeah.
the dark, because he really, you're right, he's like the murderer, the crazy murder. So there's you know, in the comics, like there's some crazy cool renditions of him turning like all black with just like a white moon. It looks so good.
That's dope.
So I'm sure I mean, that will be coming, right? Because he will
like where like maybe
well, I mean, so the one thing that I did read after I watched the show was there was a bunch of Eternals that were supposed to be in cameos in Moon Knight, and they took them out.
The Indian guy was supposed to, and
they were gonna have 3 of like he was the main one, but there was 3 of the 4 that were supposed to have cameos in Moon Knight, and they just scrapped it.
See, that would have made both of those properties better.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, cool,
that's what I want to see
somehow.
In the MCU.
Like that's awesome.
That was the thing, you know, I normally don't necessarily care too much about like cameos and things like that. But when you have like, so all of these origin stories lately, Eternals, Moon Knight, so on and so forth. I'm not even going to get into all of them because there's a million of them, but all of them like every origin story is a world ending or altering event. Like there is some kind of crazy, like, so like Eternals, the Earth is about to die. Nobody else shows up. Like just nobody shows up. Nobody notices that there's been crazy earthquakes. Nobody notices that anything bad is happening right now.
Or the dude coming out of the ocean.
Yeah, there's just like there's a giant coming out of the ocean. Nobody notices.
A giant celestial, like stone celestial, and everyone's like, no big deal.
Yeah, the Earth is heating up. So this is something that I thought was funny earlier that I mentioned to Mason. But in the movie, they're talking about when the what do they call, not divergence, but
it's not divergence, but you're really close.
Yeah, something like that. Deviants.
Yeah.
So when the deviants come back, right, it's because, oh well, they were in the Arctic and the Arctic is thawing out, and so they came back, and I'm like, oh, they just explained global warming. That's so interesting.
The best thing about that explanation, like no offense, is such a weak one, because it's how many movies have used Transformers, Godzilla versus Godra, global warming, all the monsters were just encapsulated in Antarctica and North Pole, and it warmed up and now they're free. It's like, come on, you have
There's
to
like
have
3
a better way
movies
to do
about
this.
cavemen in the 80s alone.
I know.
My God.
I think that's a weak plot line. Like they could have easily changed that and made it more believable or just fun.
I agree. I thought that was very silly. Even if they were just like dormant and you know, and just like gaining power or whatever, or they were just hidden and evolving and were as smart as they kind of portrayed them, and not so beast-like.
Them trapped in ice is so stupid.
I'm right. This is Rita Repulsa all over again, man.
So true.
That's a dumpster, bro. That's a dumpster.
After 10,000 years, I'm free.
Speaking of the devil, there was a big Power Rangers credit at the end of Multiverse of Madness that I didn't realize, but I saw it in the second go around in the credits, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Saban, Shuki Levy. What? That's awesome!" So, anyway.
What is it?
I'll tell you offline, Aaron, but it's a spoiler, so I don't want to do anything like that. But it's a cool spoiler. So anyway,
hey, you're the one who brought it up. I'm just saying.
I did, but we were talking about Power Rangers and Marvel and all that stuff.
There is one scene in Multiverse of Madness that I just want a shot of, to have as like painted on a wall as my wallpaper background for my computer, whatever. I will never ever change it. It was like. It reminded me of like Bloodborne, super, super crazy. It was amazing. And if I can find it, I'll absolutely post it or put it up on the socials or something like that. But it was amazing. Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no. Anyway, that's cool. So I think that was good chat about kind of the Marvel goings on. 10 out of 10 for Hawkeye, if we're going back and, you know, we haven't talked since on a microphone about that since, you know, all that. But yeah, Hawkeye was honestly one of the most perfect series to me that they've done so far. And just chemistry with people and everything. So, and I think like the one saving thing for Moon Knight would be like seeing him come up like really big in an upcoming show or movie. Like showing up and just doing work, you know, and really.
But you know he's not going to, because there's no way
exactly
he's gonna be that main. There's no way.
Yeah, I'm just like, where is he going to show up? You know, like,
yeah. Well, he's not like powerful enough to like come save the day kind of situation.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think the next thing I could maybe see him in is like the end credits of Blade, like in 2 years. You know, honestly, like I don't know. Like, what do you guys think about that?
I think they're definitely going to bring him in, but he's just going to be like a sub. I mean, because for how big the world has gotten, just obviously with the multiverse and with there's 2 movies that I could see him in, and it would definitely Blade, The Knights, and then what am I thinking? If whenever they do like Savage Wars, like they could bring him in for that. Like there's definitely wars that are like big ones where they're going to need everyone. Like, and he could definitely show up and do his business, but I don't think he's going to be an integral part of the story.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't either.
He's just gonna be he's gonna be like just a fun one, where it's like, oh, you're here. That's cool. Yeah. I remember watching that show.
Would you want a second season of this show if it was like presented to you?
Yeah, I would want a second season of this show because I don't really see where he would fit in elsewhere. And again, I like the characters, I like the acting, I like the story. I just don't like the presentation of all of that. The way they directed and presented and wrote all of that out felt janky as hell.
Yeah, if it was like the last 2 episodes, I'm so down for more.
Yes,
if whoever wrote because a lot of times with these shows they do like different, like Star Wars, they'll do like the different producer for different episodes.
Right.
If they, I don't think they did that, but if it was like one of those situations where they're like, yeah, let's just try out a couple different people and see who's got it clicking. If it's like the last 2, I'm so down. If it's like the first 4, I think it's a waste of time.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, and I think
more than 6 episodes. I'm so tired of this.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
She-Hulk's supposed to be 8 to 10, so that's something that's cool. And I'm actually, after reading more about She-Hulk, I'm actually really stoked for that show personally.
Yeah, I'm really stoked for Miss Marvel too.
Miss Marvel. I'm stoked about that, but I just feel like Miss Marvel is just going to set up the Marvels movie that's coming, which I'll go see it. But those aren't my favorite characters, but I do like Kamala Khan and stuff. So I'll definitely watch it for sure, and it'll probably be better than this. I mean, exactly. But
I think Miss Marvel will be more in line with like Hawkeye in terms of like Haley Steinfeld. She's funny, she's charismatic, she's entertaining, and like. And Kamala Khan is like the exact same way. She's just a silly, awkward teenage girl who is just like kind of trying to have fun with her superpowers and figure out how to use them.
And who's a big fan of the Avengers. I hope they lean into that with that show, is like how big of a fan of the Avengers she is.
Yes, exactly. So. Like all of that. Like she's just like such a good character that I'm really excited for it. I really hope they do it justice. I think they will. I mean, but who knows?
Yeah, I am excited to see more. Just see She-Hulk though, just because there's like the Abomination aspect of him showing up in Shang-Chi. Like he's coming back, and Tim Roth is going to reprise that role. And I mean, it's been reported that Charlie Cox is in multiple episodes of that show as well. Is going to show up as Daredevil, and that makes sense because they're both lawyers. So like. Maybe there's something going on where they're figuring each other out while handling a big case against each other. Something would be cool, And but anyway, so She-Hulk is really what I'm next looking forward to, because I think it's going to have that dynamic of Hawkeye that we all loved, like, and the funny aspect to it and all that stuff. So
plus, I know you love big women, so that's good too.
You do? I do. My wife's like 5'2", 100 pounds. So,
well, I mean, you can like someone who's not your wife.
That's true.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I just,
yeah. So anyway, I don't want more Moon Knight, honestly, because I think it'll be just more of the same. It'll be 4 of the fluff and then 2 of greatness, and I don't want 4 good episodes of Moon Knight. Just give me 4 good episodes of Moon Knight. That's what you're gonna do. I was literally falling asleep in the first 4 episodes, like, because like we were watching Daredevil at the same time as we were doing this, and I was like, can we just watch Daredevil now? Like, that's
well, in comparison, because Daredevil's fantastic. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it
I told
also,
you, like, because you were talking about like binging Moon Knight, and I was like, don't do it, because you're gonna like if you were gonna sit down and say I'm gonna binge this show, you would watch 2 episodes and then shut it off. Like I can prepare myself once a week to sit down for 45 minutes and waste that time for something interesting to happen, but I could not sit down for just like 6 hours straight and waste that amount of time. Two episodes in, and I'd be like, nah, see you later.
See, that was my problem though, is because I watched the first 2 episodes in succession and was like, after the second episode, I was like, I don't care to watch the next one anytime soon. So I was just like, whatever, I'll wait till it's finished and then we'll go on a whim and watch it. And that's exactly what we did. I was like, we had literally nothing else. Literally, we'd done everything else in the world on Saturday night. And I was just like, yeah, I guess we'll watch this, like that's where I was at with it. And like, I guess we'll catch up on the last 3 so we can watch the final episode.
Yeah.
And
everything else, adult coloring books.
Yeah, we did it all. We did everything. We flew around the moon.
We recorded a Chumbawamba album.
Michelle got pregnant and had another baby. Like we literally did everything
in one night.
In one night. Yeah, it was crazy. Like I was going down the Rolodex and then Moon Knight was right there at the bottom and we got there. So I was like, okay, we're going to watch this.
Okay.
Nah, I'm just messing. Yeah, I just don't think it'll be. I think I just want to see him a part of a team or something. Sorry, I missed that. But
I was just being an idiot. It's fine.
But the cool thing is, like, if they bring him into any of the other movies and he's a part of them, he's great. Like the character Moon Knight itself is great. So I think that there doesn't even need to be any more of a show, because there doesn't need to be. Right. He just needs to somehow they need to take Moon Knight, because they've already established his backstory.
Right.
Oscar Isaac's fantastic. Just plop him in any of the movies and we'll love it. Like his character's great. We just don't want the other crap that went along with the story.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the issue that I have with that, or not the issue that I have with that, but the issue that I have with that in the way they resolved the show, because the resolution to the show is his third personality, right? That's the cliffhanger.
Oh, I know.
And so when they have this huge cliffhanger, it's like, well, if you're not going to do a second season, then where are you going to go and explain this? Where are you just going to not explain it and just like leave it and just walk off into the sunset and go join the Avengers or whatever you're going to do? Or are you going to try to explain it in another movie and have it not necessarily, or a TV show, and have it awkwardly fit into somebody else's TV show? Or are you going to do a second season? And that's why I was annoyed when Mason said that there was rumors about the Punisher showing up at the very end. Because if the Punisher showed up at the very end and did what, and took out what's his name, Arthur, and that was the end of the show, then that could just be the end of the show. Yeah. But with showing off this third personality and leaving it on this character level cliffhanger makes me feel like it's going to be really hard to put him somewhere else. And that's the issue that I had, that I found very unappealing, because I agree with you, Weston, 100%. Like he can go hang out with Deadpool or whomever and be a perfect fit, and just be shooed right in. But it just leaves so much character unexplained, and if they try to explain it, I feel like it's a shoehorn.
I think the only thing they could do with it, or not the only thing, but one of the things they could do with him is make him the villain of another one of these shows. So Jake Lockley is the villain that one of these people are trying to stop, because he is the evil Moon Knight, like the truly persona of evil Moon Knight, and so I think that's to give him backstory and all this kind of stuff. I think that's what they could do, but I don't think it is what they're going to do. So
the potential is definitely there. I just don't think they're going to do it, because I doubt that this show did that well, just in general.
Yeah,
because it was very odd, and then it was definitely like, it was slow, it was odd, and like it was just I don't think it's going to be received that well. So
I don't either.
I doubt they're going to do anything else. And if they do, if they need to explain it, they're probably going to explain it in 1 minute, and that's all they need to do. Yeah. Jake Lockley was my bad evil persona, and me and Mark killed him or locked him away, and it's just us. We're good. Let's go fight some evil. Like I think they could easily just do like a little cut, or just like kind of just touch it, because they're too far down the road at this point, and I don't think they're going to revisit the character over and over again Because if they really wanted to do that, why wouldn't they just have done that in the show? And just, I mean, they did hint, right? Because whenever they both black out, they're like, whoa, like, where are we at? Like, it was Jake taking over and killing everyone. Right. Because even in the Egyptian city, when it was just like, oh, you know, I don't know what's happening, and he comes back and there's blood all over his hands, that was Jake.
Yeah, right.
Over. Yeah. But
it's like, was that you? Nope, wasn't me.
Yeah. But I just don't like, do we really need more? I don't think we do.
Yeah.
We just want him kicking ass and taking names, you know?
Exactly. I think that they could have easily made this like a 10-episode 2-arc thing where the first arc of like 4 or 5 episodes was what happened here.
Right.
You know, and then the second arc is talking about
going
Jake.
Forward.
Exactly. And
be so good.
And would have just made it, just encapsulated it and be done. Like they could have just added in a little bit more, like literally 2 more episodes, and they could have just capped it off and moved on. But they just didn't do it. And the thing is, it's like these 6-episode things. It's like it's meant to be quality over quantity, but they didn't even give us the quality. It just kills me.
Yep. Anyway, well, I think we've
literally 2 episodes. Yeah, I think like Aaron, you're right. If they had 2 episodes. Yeah, because imagine if they were like, well, like, who was this? Like, who's doing this? I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Why are these people dead? And then it's their, like, you know, their quest to be able to either, like, control Jake or to, you know, expel him or lock him up in the mind, whatever it may be. I like that idea, but they didn't do it. So I doubt that they're going to add another 6 episodes just for that arc. It just doesn't, it doesn't flow right.
Right.
Can we get off of Marvel really quick and talk about some DC content?
Go for it.
Do it. Weston, have you seen the Batman yet?
Thanks for listening. Be sure and catch part 2 of this episode next week, where we talk about the Batman and play a game called Overrated, Underrated.
Wow, what a terrific show. Those guys did great. Did you like that? Of course you did. Subscribe to the podcast to show your support. Until next time, we'll see you next time.